Daily inventory, meditation, and awakening. In steps 10, 11, and 12, we learn to continue our self-inventory process, pray and meditate, and carry the message of hope to adult children while practicing the principles of the steps in our daily lives. ACA is a program for continued personal growth. The 12 steps call the adult child to live the ACA program with a range of feelings and self-confidence. ACA is a design for living that works. In step 10, the adult child learns to appropriately inventory thoughts, actions, and motives with an honesty and gentleness that was not present in our families of origin. Step 10 is where many adult children learn to balance their responses to situations. We confront our black and white thinking and realize that we have choices. We learn to say no. We can ask for what we need. We become actors rather than reactors. Most adult children learn to take their own inventory long before they arrived at ACA. However, these negative inventories were usually nothing more than our critical inner parent judging us harshly. Many adult children doubt themselves, criticize themselves, and feel inadequate without much prompting. Steps leading up to step 10 can expose the toxic shame and abandonment we endured as children and teens. The shame that gave us a negative orientation to the outward and inner world. In our minds, we developed the deeply grooved, self-shaming message that lived on long after we left our homes. For instance, who could have his house burglarized and feel at fault for the burglary? As an adult child, who could feel guilty for asking someone blocking a doorway to move? An adult child. Step 10 helps us address any negative messages held over from the previous step work. Step 10 does not mean we will never criticize our behavior again or never apologize for obvious wrongdoings on our part. However, with step 10, we hopefully will learn to judge ourselves less harshly and forgive ourselves more readily. With such an attitude, we learn the difference between condemning ourselves unjustly and identifying areas to improve. We see how we took on too much responsibility for others' thoughts and actions. That's what we did as children when we filled in the unspoken sentences that fell on the floor when our parents argued or criticized with an unreasonable manner. We were children taking on too much blame for dysfunction that was not our responsibility. In step 10, we unhook from the behavior of others. We learn to focus on our own thoughts and actions with balance and self-love. In step 11, we learn that spirituality is not reserved for those of the clergy or those of religious teaching or temperament. God, as we understand God, is available to all. We seek through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with a higher power. We seek the power we need to live in freedom each day. It has been said that a life of prayer and meditation leads to a life of mental stability or emotional maturity. In ACA, we believe this to be true. The power we find in step 11 is the true power from our true parent, God, as we understand God. There are many methods to meditation and many fine books on the subject. In ACA, we have learned to keep it simple. Many of our members find a quiet place in the morning to meditate, but any time will do. We usually sit in a relaxed, upright position for 10 minutes to an hour. The time varies for each member. Some members, at the beginning of the meditation, take several deep breaths and exhale slowly, repeating an affirming message in their minds. As we concentrate on our breathing and on self-love or serenity, we feel a closer connection with our higher power. We feel relaxed and safe. Practice is the key to meditation. Make a start and continue to try. In step 12, the adult child begins to realize the value of his or her personal story. This realization is one of the key elements of undergoing a spiritual awakening and psychic change that brings integration to our fragmented lives. Our stories are often painful. Common logic would suggest forgetting the past, but our experience speaks otherwise. We are survivors with a voice. We are learning to live with self-love and grace. We have found the value in our stories, and we feel motivated to pass on hope to the still suffering adult child. By working the 12 steps, we come to believe that our story has great spiritual value. We don't live in the past, but we know where we come from and how to find clarity and meaning in life. By the time we reach step 12, we know about the negative messages we have confronted and changed. We also recognize self-forgiveness. We feel more sure of ourselves. In ACA, the adult child finds her or his voice. In carrying the message of hope in the 12th step, our story is the identification tool that allows us to connect with other adult children and bring hope like no one else can. Something marvelous happens when one adult child talks to another adult child, sharing experience, strength, and hope. Both are helped, and the message of recovery experiences a heartbeat. By carrying the message of recovery through step 12, the adult child confirms his or her commitment to the recovery process and passes on what was freely given to him or her. When we give back, we help ourselves in addition to helping someone else.